Is brewing. Dow futures down almost 200 points. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Lawrence County depends on WDXE News. On the air since 1951. This is The Legend. 105.3, 95.3. WDXE.
That's us, WDXE. It's Wednesday morning, so it's time for Friends and Neighbors Hour, which is brought to you by Keller Williams Hood Company. That's me, that's us. And my special guest today for the Friends and Neighbors Hour is a longtime acquaintance and friend of mine, Mr. Gerald Spear. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great this morning. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Gerald Spear owns and operates a little place called Trader's Corner on the corner of Buffalo Road and May Street here in Lawrenceburg. That's right across the road almost from Rent Right there. And you've been there for several years, haven't you?
15 years now.
Really? 15 years on Trader's Corner.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome. Well, we're going to talk about Trader's Corner a little bit. How did you decide to do that, by the way?
Well, actually, the plan was God's plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I had sold my cabinet shop, Spearwood cabinets, which I had for a number of years. And I was just spending time doing nothing for a while. And one day I was out driving, and the Lord told me to go a certain way and turn at corners and so forth. And whenever I came up to the old Kimbrough store, which was grown up, had been empty for 23 years.
Yeah.
The Lord said, turn in here on this parking lot. So I turned in, walked through broken windows and doors and into a dilapidated building.
Yeah.
And before I left that day, the Lord said, call this number. I called that number, and within a couple of days, I had bought the building.
The old Kimbrough store. Yeah.
Without knowing what I was doing.
Good things happen sometimes that way. when you take off and not know what's going to happen, sometimes good things happen.
Well, the Lord has a plan, see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, we'll come back to the Trader's Corner because it's a very unique store, and I want to talk about that in some detail, especially into the show and later on. I've been there. I actually have a piece in my office that I got from you.
Yeah, that's right. I sold you a desk or table or something.
It is a library dictionary podium is what it is. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, I sure did. Anyway, very unique store, a lot of good stuff. And but one of the things that when I started this Friends and Neighbors Hour, it was just to invite people from around the community who've been a part of this community and some newcomers too, and just kind of get to know them even more. Even though I've known you and known of you, there's a lot that I don't know about you. And so I was going to ask you if you would to kind of share your family history, even as far back as you want to, kind of tell where the Spears came from and how, if you lived here all your life, give me a little history here. Because I know you from, I knew when you owned and operated a cabinet shop. I remember that. But and then more recently, of course, Trader's Corner. But prior to that, what was life like for Gerald Spear, and what was your family like as a young man?
Well, I was born here in Lawrenceburg within the city limits. Of course, at that time, the city limits was very confined. It
Yeah.
wasn't spread out.
Yeah.
But I was born here 85 years ago.
85. Wow.
And I was born into a family of my father, mother, 3 sisters. And we had a good life. I don't have a story about all of the things some people say would such a hard life. Now, we were simple, plain people. My father worked on the WPA,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and that was a government program, and they worked out on the highways, building highways with a pick and shovel.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
back in those days. But we lived that life, and then
Do you know a lot about your father's family history and where he
my,
lived?
my father's mother was a full-blooded Indian
Really?
from down in Sand Mountain, Alabama.
Okay.
And my father, his father and mother were divorced, and then he went into a family that his mother married into. But he came from Alabama.
Okay.
I don't know all of the route that he traveled to get to Lawrenceburg, but he ended up in Lawrenceburg, and he had businesses. One business that he had was down at Dunn. There was a feed store, a gas station, and a variety store there in Dunn.
Yeah.
And he ran that for a number of years.
Now, was that prior to you?
No, I was born in 39.
Okay.
And that was in 46,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah. Interesting.
But at that time, he did not even have an automobile. We didn't have an automobile until 1950.
Oh, really?
And to get to and from work, he would have to go out on the road and thumb a ride.
Oh, really?
And somebody that knew him, pick him up, take him down to the store,
Yeah.
and at night he'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
But he was always industrious, doing some kind of business.
Sure.
And then I had 3 sisters, of course.
Now, what were their names?
The oldest was Ruby Spear. Next in line was Pauline Spear, who married a Wiley, which is mixed in with your
Yeah,
wife, or
mixed into my wife's family. Yeah.
somewhere there mixed into that family.
Yeah.
And then the youngest girl was Ann Spear, and then myself.
So you were the youngest.
I was the youngest
Yeah.
of those.
Well, let's fit this together because now Miss Ruby Spear was teaching high school when I came through. She sure was. Now, she taught, I guess, for many, many years.
Well, she came out of college the year 1960, I guess, or
Okay.
1961, because she came out of college whenever I was going in, and then she started teaching school from there on.
Right.
She taught at Summertown, then she came to the high school, and finished up her career at the high school teaching English.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I remember her. In fact, I had her, I think, for one of my English classes, and had fond memories of her. I didn't do too well in English, but and that's evident, by the way, just by listening to me. Miss Pauline, I knew. Now she ended up being my wife's aunt because she married my wife's uncle, which
Nelson Wiley.
Nelson Wiley was my wife's mother's brother.
Yeah, I knew there was some mixture.
So Miss Pauline does have a tie to my wife's family, for sure. And of course, I knew Mr. Nelson and her for many, many years. Yeah. Now,
Well, her children, which you are all also knowledgeable of,
Yes.
was Donna,
Miss Donna Marston, yes.
who married Jeff Marston,
That's right.
and now, of course, Jeff is the owner of
DRM. DRM, yeah.
DRM, making robots.
Yeah. They do robotics, they sure do.
So
Quite a successful enterprise.
that's
Very much so, yeah.
that's a part of the family that you're
Yeah.
mixed in with.
And her sister was Kay,
Kay,
and
which-
she married Jeff Hudson.
Jeff Hudson.
Yeah, now they've moved out, but they were here for many, many years.
Yeah. They moved to Franklin.
Yeah, yep, sure did. Now, what about Ann? I'm not sure I'm familiar with Ann.
And her children, David Hine.
Oh, yeah, I sure am. Yeah. I tie that together now. David Hine and I went to high school together.
David Hine.
I remember that now. I'm sorry.
And
Excuse me. Keep
That-
coughing. I'm sorry.
that was her son.
Yeah. David and I were in high school together, graduated high school together. Yeah, sure did. Played guitar some together.
Yeah, he was a musician.
Yeah.
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 Good guy. Good guy. Well, now we talked about your dad and his mom being full-blooded Indian from Sand Mountain area. Have you visited that area much, or y'all ever do that?
We went on trips and went to that area to see if we could find trace or anything, but we could never come up with anything because
Yeah.
back in those days, that was rare that you could trace
Yeah.
family roots,
Yeah.
but
No.
it came from that part. Yes.
Now, your mom, was she a native of Lawrence County, or how did your mom and dad meet, or do you know?
I have no idea because she was 14 years old whenever they got married.
Oh, wow.
so-
Yeah. Which wasn't all that uncommon
Oh,
back
no. They married early
then. Yeah.
in those days, but my dad was better known by most older people by being at the old Spur station, Direct Oil
Yeah.
station down
What was his first name, by the way? Didn't he?
Esther.
Esther.
Esther
Spear.
Spear.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was manager of the Direct Oil across from the bus station
Oh, wow.
for many years,
Okay.
and that's what he retired from.
Yeah. So you grew up right here in Lawrenceburg. Spent your whole life here in Lawrenceburg.
Well, when I finished college, I married a girl from Maryland.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, of course, we moved to Maryland.
Did not know that.
So I traveled that way from Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C. for a number of years.
Yeah.
until I moved back to this area.
Well, let's go step by step here because this sounds interesting. You went to Maryland, and so what did you do for a living when you married?
Well, her father was a real estate man.
Well, that perks me up right there. Real estate. Okay.
And he owned a hotel there in Hagerstown, Maryland, called the Dagmar. And at one time there was an automobile named Dagmar.
Oh, really?
That's back early.
I've never heard of that.
But he was in the real estate business and farm and well-to-do man. But then I worked for major companies. I worked for H.J. Heinz, traveled for them. I worked for F.W. Woolworth, the old
Really?
Woolworth
Yeah.
company, and other odds and end jobs in retail. I've always been in some sort of retail.
Was you in a sales type position or, that
I
kind of
was
thing?
in management, district management, salespeople, the the whole gamut of
Yeah.
retail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woolworths has been gone for a while. I don't know, does it still existed? I don't think it does.
No.
Woolworths, I vaguely remember, what was it? Was it like a clothing line store? What was it? Or was it just a general store? What was that?
Woolworth was a five and dime store.
Okay.
It was the largest store of that type.
Yeah. Okay.
And you hear stories now of, like in Nashville, whenever they had the set down riots and all that.
Yes.
They were at a Woolworth food bar.
Okay.
But the branch that I work with was Woolco.
Okay. Now, what was the difference in that?
Woolco was the first store of the type that what Walmart is today.
Oh, really?
There was Kmart and Woolco.
Okay.
So I worked in their stores.
So it's kind of the beginning, I guess, of the big box store stuff.
Well, they were it at that time, yeah.
Interesting.
The big general store, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they went by the wayside. They were not up to date as what Walmart was,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they keep advancing.
Yeah.
So I was with them, and then in '84, I moved back to Lawrenceburg.
Okay. Wow.
The Lord told me to come back here, and I am here now since '84.
1984 is when you come back to Lawrenceburg then. So you had
Yes.
I guess you had a pretty long stay outside of Lawrenceburg then.
Oh, yeah, from '64 to '84.
Yeah, 20 years.
20 years
Yeah.
gone, and Lawrenceburg, I didn't recognize Lawrenceburg.
I was going to
actually
say,
whenever I came back.
if you leave a place for that long and come back, what was that feeling like when you got back to Lawrenceburg after being gone that long?
I did not know the people,
Yeah.
and it had advanced. It had come from a nickel and dime city to
A little bit more.
what it was, because Murray had come in here during that time, and it had I'm not saying that they advanced that much, but it changed.
Yeah, it changed. Yeah, of course, it changed the world with A-Land, as far as Lawrenceburg is concerned. It was a huge influence here for many, many years. So when you come back to Lawrenceburg, what did you decide to do? You had to have something to do.
I just did whatever came handy. I just went out and did whatever came handy because I was a handyman. I could do almost anything.
Really?
So I did that, and then the Lord opened the door for me to build my cabinet shop.
Okay.
And to build cabinets and furniture and
Well, let's
all
talk
this
about
stuff.
that just a minute. I years ago, this dream has long gone of mine, but years ago, I wanted to have a little hobby woodworking shop. That was one of those things that I thought that I would like to do. But what little bit I have done, I realized that I wasn't very skilled at it, and there is quite a bit to know and to do. So, how did you come to know and do that kind of skilled work with wood?
by trial and error.
Okay. So you trained yourself.
You train and learn every day as you go,
Yeah.
and you advance if
Yeah.
you want to.
It's precise work.
It becomes a skill, a precision work. Yes,
Yeah.
you even work. That's how I got into computers, actually, because you start doing your layouts and everything on the computer. So
Yeah.
it's a learn. Every day something new.
You just had to figure it out, didn't you?
Yes.
Wow. So you did cabinet work. Now, did you do a lot of new construction or remodel or some of both or?
I did remodeling, and of course, in new houses, I worked with the contractors and had deals with them to put cabinets in their new houses and all, and it just built by the hand of God.
Yeah. Well, he's using your hands to make it. You got to make it.
But you have to have a direction
Yeah.
of where you are going.
Yeah. So, did it take a while to build the business up? I mean, was it immediately successful or?
Well, it was successful from the day one, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your favorite kind of, cabinets have changed and evolved over the years. I mean, they're still functionally the same, but the equipment and the stuff that they use and the way they're done today seems to be different to me than they were when I remember back when my mom and dad built their house, and I was still at home. They built a new house, and the cabinet maker, made the cabinet. I don't even remember who it was now that did them, but the materials changed, seemed like to me. There's a variety of work, variety of different materials, that kind of stuff. So can you elaborate on, what you worked with mostly or?
Well, I had just a simple woodworking shop where I only had the simple table saws and all of that kind of stuff. And where today they have the modern equipment and the spray booths and all that stuff. But I started out, I built a shop there on
Yeah, where was your shop?
Lawrence Street.
Okay.
It was behind or next door to Jerry Ezel's car lot
Yeah,
there on the corner.
yeah, yeah.
So I was there, and it just advanced. It just build from day to day, so that's
Do you
what
have
it ended up.
Is there any projects that stick out in your mind as, or big projects, or any that stick out that were especially challenging or rewarding? Do you remember any one specific ones that might stick out in your memory?
Oh, I would come into jobs I needed to do that I had never done before and say, how do I do this?
Yeah.
But I learned as I went.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a learning process. So one thing led to another, and it just, everything just fell into place. When the Lord is leading you, everything falls into place.
Yeah. Well, you're right about that. Just trust in Him and what you do. That's right. I'm just thinking about
but
those.
you're talking about
Yeah.
anything stand out. I was in Walmart or Kroger or somewhere the other day, and a woman walked up with her daughter and said, "This is Mr. Spear. 39 years ago, he put cabinets in our house." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah."
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I was going to ask you about. You run into people, I'm sure, that cabinets you've built and put in their houses. And I probably, as many houses as I've been in, I've probably seen your work and didn't know it.
Well, I built for Mark McKissick. Mark was a
Yeah.
contractor, and he had a subdivision below you
Yeah.
down
Prosser
in
Place.
Prosser Place. That
Yeah.
was Mark, and I did all of his cabinet work and just
Yeah. So you've got some leftover or some legacy left behind in these houses, cabinets here and there. Did you ever do any commercial cabinets, any commercial building work, cabinets like that, or mostly residential?
I would do offices. I would do something like this. Go into businesses, and I did work for Dura Automobile.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
There was
commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did a little bit of everything then. Well, good. You had to do what you had to do to make a living.
That's right.
That's good. That's good. Well, so the cabinet business provided you a good living for a long time,
Yes, it did.
and you made your existence here. Now, I haven't asked you. Do you have any children?
I had one son and 3 grandsons and 3 great grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
But my son passed away last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, yeah.
So, but you've got grandchildren and great grandchildren.
Yes.
Wow. Now, are they locally here now?
No, they live around Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't actually know about that, not that I remembered anyway. You decided to finish up your cabinet work.
Well, I sold the building and all of that kind of stuff there on Lawrence Street. And then I just drifted a couple of years, I guess, and until I happened up on what I have on
The corner.
on Bay Street, the corner, yes.
Yeah.
The store on the corner.
That's right. That's right. Well, you mentioned earlier in meeting and marrying your wife, who she was from Maryland, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I apologize for not knowing this, but now, is she still living? She with you?
As far as I know, she is.
Okay. I don't know why I don't know that, but I didn't.
Well, no, it wouldn't be any reason for you to really
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, so you have a life together here, and you ran across. You told me earlier, and of course I knew about this. The old Kimbrough's store. I have memories from that from my childhood. There was a point in time when my grandmother and my grandfather lived not too far from Kimbrough's when it was actually Kimbrough's.
Yeah.
And gosh, it was a treat for us kids to get to walk down and go to the store, and we would hunt drink bottles because you could redeem the drink bottles and get a few cents and get enough maybe for some candy or something like that. If they'd let us go and take drink bottles to Kimbrough's, that was a big deal.
It was.
And
yes.
I still remember the way the store looked on the inside, the things that they had in there, and of course it was an icon here, for many years. And then of course it did close, and it just sat empty.
Sat there for 23 years.
Yeah, it just sat there for the longest,
Yeah.
and nobody did anything with it. And it began to really just go downhill, as any building would, until Mr. Gerald Spear decided to look at it.
Well, it was a well-built building, concrete blocks and steel beams across the roof, so it was a good shell, but
Yeah.
that's all it was. Whenever I bought it was a shell, and I had to do everything
Yeah.
to it.
Well, what all did you do to it when you went in there and took over that building? First of all, you had to clean it out, I'm sure.
I had to clean it out. It had no electricity, had no plumbing.
Now, did you do all this yourself, pretty much?
Yes,
I thought so.
but that's back whenever I was young. See?
You're still young.
Yeah, I did it all by myself. That's that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you had a vision for it. Let me ask you that. Sure enough, did you know what you were going to do with it when you bought it?
No. I don't know. I didn't know why I bought it.
Well, did you get any comments from friends and neighbors or acquaintances that's going, why are you doing this, or what are you going to do with it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, people would ask and make comments and all of that, but I didn't know what I was going to do with it.
Well, you actually did do something with it. How long did it take you to get it, in shape enough to actually use it?
Oh, 2 to 3 years, I guess.
Yeah. That's a lot of patience.
It gave me something to do.
I think that's, that's something that we've talked about here. I've talked about it with others, and with you. When you quit doing and just decide to not do anything, well, let me just put it this way. I think life is better if you have something to do.
Sure.
Life is better if you have something to do, or something to keep you occupied, something to keep you motivated. And so you took it on because you retired, I guess, out of the cabinet making business. How old were you when you decided to quit cabinet making and turn that loose?
About 2000, I guess.
Yeah.
2-1 or somewhere.
So
along
in
there.
you were in your 60s, I guess,
Yeah.
something like that. So my age. So you're my age when you decided to do something different and buy that building. Well, I'm glad you did, because you made a difference in a piece of town right there that that was going to end up just completely going away if somebody didn't do something. But you did. You redeemed an old building there. Now, there was more. was there a chunk of land there with it as well?
Yeah, I had ended up with the whole corner. See, you sold that corner.
I know. I'm
for
asking
me,
that on
see.
purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that corner,
Yes.
which I did not deed, so it opened up that.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, I was privileged that you allowed me to help you sell some property there with that, but you had that whole corner there.
Yeah.
And of course now they've developed it. There's some homes, some new homes there, and done some work there with it. Made a difference.
If I had kept that corner.
Yeah. Only if. Yeah. Only if. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buffalo Road is a busy road.
The busiest highway, state highway in the county.
It is. It is quite a busy road. Of course, 43 North is crowded all the time,
Well, yeah.
up and down through town. But I agree with you that Buffalo Road is a state highway.
It's a state highway.
It's
yes.
a state highway, and it's one of the busiest in the county at all.
Well, it's a bypass from 64.
It's going to even get more so.
Well,
With the new road that they're cutting through up the north of town, they're going to connect Buffalo to the north part of 43 up there. It's going to change it even more.
but Blake told me the other day it might be 13 years before they do it.
Oh, they're already doing it.
Oh, yeah, the road, but making Buffalo Road a 4-lane.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're talking about the widening Buffalo, which is needed really. I think it's needed. Of course, it may take forever, like you're talking
Well,
about.
13 years.
13, 14 years before it's
Yeah.
done. But there's long range planners that do that kind of stuff for sure. And good Lord willing, you'll still be running Trader's Corner. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Slow.
Yeah. Well, so you got the building finished, and you had a blank slate there with a good building. You repaired what needed to be repaired. You got the electrical, the plumbing in. You got a floor in there that would hold you. So you had a good building. What were you going to do with it?
Sell it, get rid of it.
That was the idea to start with.
Well,
Yeah.
as I worked on it, I said, yeah, I'll sell it. Let somebody come in here and do it because I didn't have a need for it. So,
Yeah.
but that didn't materialize.
So you decided to use it yourself.
Well, there again, the Lord told me that He had given me the building,
Yeah.
and there it was for my future.
Well, how would you describe Trader's Corner? What you're doing there now?
It's a variety store where you can get a little bit of whatever you need.
You got home furnishings there.
Yeah,
Of course, you got hardware and
hardware.
probably got tools.
I got,
You got
yes,
a few tools.
yeah,
And you've also
Furniture.
got furniture, home furnishings. You've got I don't know. I was trying to think. I noticed that you've got like doors and windows, things like that people may
Yes.
want or need. And you call it Trader's Corner. Do you do swapping and trading?
oh yeah, buy, sell, trade, barter. Yeah.
Any way you want to do that.
Well, my father was a trader.
Yeah.
He traded for everything. Traded dogs, knives, guns.
So you got
Whatever.
you got it in your blood a little
Oh
bit.
yeah.
You know, I love to do that too.
Yeah.
I don't do it as much as I'd like to do, really, but I love to swap and trade and
Oh yeah.
bargain, that kind of thing. It's just sometimes I embarrass my wife because I want to negotiate things, and
Well, yeah.
you
You
that kind
have to. Yeah.
it's just one of those things that's kind of in our blood
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And right now, my focus has been on old guitars. I like to swap and trade and buy and sell old guitars,
Yeah.
mess with those kind of things. And but you have a variety there. I mean, and I haven't been in your store in a while, but the last time I was there, I mean, really seriously, if someone's looking for a dining table or any kind of furniture, just about, you've got it. Or maybe an obscure piece of hardware, something like that. How do you find your merchandise?
Well, my hardware and everything I have to buy from distributors.
Yeah,
I'd bring it in from distributors. But the other stuff I just trade for.
just trade for it, find it.
I'd find it, trade for it, swap, whatever, buy it, whatever.
You've been
bring
to a
it
few
in.
of my auctions.
Yeah.
Buy a
Back,
piece.
yeah.
Back in the day, you used to do
Years
that.
ago, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the piece that I put in my office that I bought from you, you bought at one of my auctions.
Could
Best I
have
remember, I
that-
think you bought
that
it at my
piece.
auction, and then I ended up going and buying it from you, and it's one of my prized possessions, by the way. It is my dictionary stand,
Yeah.
and it sits right behind me in my office. I have a huge dictionary in case I need to look up a word. I still do it the old-fashioned way with a book. I like it that way. What would you tell folks that haven't been to Trader's Corner?
Come and visit.
It's all right. I'll let you get yourself straightened out there for just a second. My guest today, of course, Mr. Gerald Spear. He has been the longtime operator of Trader's Corner, but a career in cabinet making, and has turned that what used to be Kimbrough's and what used to be a building that we thought would probably just go by the wayside. You know, for many years it sat there empty, and now Trader's Corner, Mr. Gerald Spear there. By the way, you can get a cold drink there too, can't you? A piece of candy or a moon pie.
Yes. Cold drinks for 75 cents.
Yeah, and you still got moon pies.
When I can buy them at the right price.
Yeah, still that trader.
That's right. Well, my neighbor is Bill Adams.
Yeah,
Rent right.
Yeah.
So we have that part of the road.
you guys have got that covered over there. You guys take up both sides of the road there and keep Buffalo Road on watch.
Bill is a fine fella.
Yeah, he's become a great friend. Well, I've known him since high school, and we've been friends forever. But we've gotten to know each other even more so in our adult life. And of course, a lot of people don't know that you have also become a part. Well, we don't broadcast it, I don't guess, but you and I, along with a handful of other men, meet on Thursday mornings now for a little Bible get together and study. We've been doing that for a while. And that was the reason why I remembered, or I thought about asking you to come on board and do this show with me. And I appreciate you coming. We've got about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to ask you a little deeper about your involvement with your church life. And I know you have been for many, many years. I know that you were a part of the Vaughn Church.
Yes.
For many, many years. And that was, of course, like a lot of churches, Mr. Spear, they dwindle down. And it's maybe this is a sad thing, but in my real estate career here, I have sold several church buildings, including the Vaughn one, and Church of Christ building on First Street, Methodist Church over on 2nd or 3rd Avenue. There have been several churches, church facilities, I should
Yes.
say, that have come up that have had to be sold. for one reason or another. Not that I want to be on something negative, but you were very much a part of the Vaughn Church there for many, many years. And I didn't know if you might want to just talk about that or address that a little bit as far as where things are now and maybe how that all transpired.
Well, my family attended Vaughn Church since 1943, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
That many years ago.
yeah,
And we all grew up in the church family.
yeah,
That's why we had a good family.
yeah,
But I was part of that. And of course, some of those guys that you mentioned a while ago, Jeff Hudson and
yeah. Donna.
and all of them, the whole family.
Yeah.
Everybody went to church there. So, yeah. But the older people will die out.
Yeah,
And whenever older people die out in a church, it evolves
yeah,
like that. And then there's a new startup somewhere. We have Harmony Church now. They're on 6th Street.
okay,
And, but yeah, always a part of the church.
yeah,
Because I went to Trevecca Nazarene University
yeah,
in Nashville. And and I have a grandson who is a minister. He's a youth minister
oh yeah,
in Muskegon, Michigan.
wow,
So it just goes down through the life.
yeah. So you and your family, as a lot of us in this part of the world, our lives revolved around our families and our church people. And it was no different with you there for sure. But things have changed and do change as the years roll on, and churches kind of like families. Sometimes we lose members through death or moving, and it evolves into something different.
Well, there's several churches here in town now, recently that have closed down,
Yeah,
moved.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is beyond just time and maybe folks getting older or maybe moving away? But what do you think is the challenge for the growth of church and Christianity?
Well, it has to come from your relationship and your commitment to God.
Yeah,
If a church is not your commitment, then it's not going to grow because it has to be active.
yeah, and based in the Word.
In the Word, yes. And that's the basic for growth. That's
Yeah, and it ebbs and flows, and has, I think, since the beginning of Christianity. It ebbs and flows, and but God's in charge and in control. I know we hadn't touched on this a lot, or any really, as far as our conversation with you, but you've been around for a while, and I'm not commenting on you being old. You're still very active and very involved, very a part of the community, a businessman here in town, have been for many, many years. What do you see as the future of our little neck of the woods and the country? You've had some years to look at things.
well, Lawrenceburg is growing.
It is.
Lawrenceburg is growing. It unless you drive around Lawrenceburg and get out you won't know, like in Industrial Park, there's buildings being built there all the time.
It's amazing.
It is growing, and like you were talking about the new road, the bypass, and it's just good possibilities for a town of this size.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you optimistic for the future? That's kind of a loaded question, isn't it? That's kind of a loaded question.
It is.
Or should
Yeah.
we be optimistic? And I am. I
Well,
pretty much am. I'm an
yes,
optimist more than I am a pessimist.
We have to, but
pessimist.
also we have to face facts.
Yeah.
We can see a trend going,
Yeah.
and we can't bypass that because we're going to miss out on
Yeah.
life. But we have to realize and see where things are headed if it goes in the trend that it's going in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really, really again appreciate you coming in. I know that when I asked you, you were like a little bit in shock about what are we going to talk about. But we filled up a pretty good hour, just reminiscing, talking, getting your family history and your history coming up. I found out some things I had no idea, especially about your father and the fact that his mother was a full-blooded Indian, Cherokee, or some other.
No, it was South Mountain. There was a tribe
A tribe of
Indians
something there?
there in
Interesting.
South Mountain, and yeah, that's.
Okay.
Of course, I keep on saying that I'm going to make that corner a reservation.
Well, yeah, you should. You should. You would qualify for some of those federal Indian benefits.
I would, yes.
You absolutely would. 'Cause I don't know, how does that work? You're a 1/4 or you wouldn't be a 1/2. I forget how it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
what
know either. I don't know either.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know either. Gerald Spear, owner and operator of Trader's Corner, a longtime cabinet maker here in Lawrenceburg, and a native of Lawrenceburg and Lawrence County, part of the old Vaughn Church that was here for many, many, many years, and just have a history here, and have made your influence has been a part of Lawrenceburg for a long number of years.
Well, I hope it has been good.
Well, I've enjoyed getting to know you and have known you and know you a little better even today because of our little hour here. And again, this hour is the Friends and Neighbors Hour, brought to you by Hood Company, powered by Keller Williams. That's my little company, and we appreciate you being here with us. We're about out of time, but hopefully we'll get to meet again soon.
I appreciate your offer, yes.
All right. Well, God bless, buddy.
Okay.
See you next time.
We vowed to never forget. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.